Lawrence, thank you very much for your time this
Hello.
afternoon. During your presentation, you mentioned that 4,000 tons of product were taken off the market. What were the cost implications here?
Yeah, so as I said, we reacted really quickly when the health minister went public on the 4th of March. Immediately sent out notices to all the consumers, all of our customers, and have now, at the end of the withdrawal, taken 4,000 tonnes of product out of the market. The impact of that on our results has been about 370 million rand, which you can see flowing through into our headline earnings per share. Some of that is offset by a small insurance claim that we've put in, the initial one, but about 370 million rand.
There's also a class action that has been launched as a result of the incident. What are you telling investors as to what they can expect in terms of the time frame of the class action, as well as some of the costs?
Yeah, so the class hasn't been certified yet. As you understand, there were two class actions that were put forward, one by LHL and one by Richard Spoor. The lawyers have now met, because obviously you could only respond to one, and they have agreed to work together. Their lawyers and our lawyers are now working together and having discussions, and we are waiting for that class to be certified. As to the timing, we are not sure yet. And as to the conditions in the class, we have also not seen what that looks like. So, while we understand the discussions are underway, it's really too early to, give you any indication at this stage. So, we would like to move as fast as possible, but it's still really early days.
Now, Tiger Brands will be relaunching its enterprise product into the market. When is this set to happen, and really your strategy in terms of regaining the trust of the consumer with this product?
So we've started by trying to understand where the consumer is at the moment. What is their perceptions to the industry as a whole, the ready-to-eat industry, and also what their perceptions are with the enterprise brand, and what are the implications, and what are the criteria that we need to put forward when we relaunch. So we are busy doing deep consumer research at the moment before we even anticipate, which brand we're going to use and when we're going to launch back into the industry. It's still really early days. We want to move as fast as possible. There's obviously 1,800 employees that depend on us, that depend on this industry, and whose families, are waiting eagerly to know when the product's going to be launched. I think you also know that there's been lots of feedback by the quarter industry, who also wants enterprise back in their stores. So we very aware that there's a need for us to get into the market as soon as possible, but without, first of all, the right food safety standards and some indication from the health minister in terms of what those are, and then with deep consumer understanding of which brand and what the consumers are telling us, it's too early to say when we would launch. We need to understand exactly what we need to do for the longevity of the brand and for the industry as a whole.
All right. You did report a revenue decrease of 4%. Some of the major drivers of this decrease that we saw?
Yeah, so there was about a 1.5% volume decline in the rest of the business. The rest is really as a factor of price deflation, and primarily in the grains space. You'll know the maize price has come down dramatically in the last 12 months, and that was a big factor in our total revenue performance. Pleasingly though, the domestic business, although the revenue was down 3%, the volumes were flat on last year, and our operating margin percentages were maintained as well. So the local teams did a really good job in terms of managing in a deflationary environment. Our costs are well under control, which is helping us as well. South African manufacturers haven't managed in a deflationary environment for a long time. So consumers are benefiting from lower prices, but it makes it more difficult to manage your internal costs.
Finally, Lawrence, and very briefly, the company strategy going forward and how your international business fits into that strategy.
So we've repeatedly said we we're feeling very comfortable with our local strategy now and our Africa expansion strategy, and taking these beautiful brands that we have into Africa as our next step. So we're busy working through that now. We've just appointed a new Chief Strategy Officer, and that's one of his first tasks to pick up, so that by the end of the year we're feeling pretty confident about the next steps on the Africa expansion.